Coming up in the news, another major resort opens on Grand Bahama. Also, demolition on the way for a shanty town over in Abaco. And Bimini prepares for the vaccine rollout. The Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition, starts now.
This is the Bahamas Tonight, Northern Edition.
Good evening, Bahamas. I'm Shashina Roll-Farkas, and as always, it is so great to have you with us. Topping news at the hour, another major hotel property reopening its doors here on Grand Bahama. It will be the second major resort to reopen within the past month. Stakeholders project that it will deliver a fresh injection in the industry, providing employment for scores of workers who were sent home due to the global pandemic. As Ramiko Knowles tells us, resort managers believe that the health and safety measures will be given priority.
After a 13-month closure, the Viva Wyndham Fortuna Beach Resort is set to reopen its doors. Resort officials say much work has gone into getting the 26-acre beachfront property ready for opening day, which is April 25th. General Manager of the Grand Bahama Tourism Office, Stephen Johnson, calls the hotel property a jewel in Grand Bahama and notes that the reopening of the all-inclusive property spells good news for the economy.
So we're really excited about it. I mean, not only that, to get people who have been off work for that long back to work, which is a key for us here in the Ministry of Tourism, is to put people's heads in beds. And so we're really excited that we could have this connection with Viva, to sit at the table with them to help them market this resort for Grand Bahama.
Johnson says the announcement made by the nation's leader, stating that persons who are fully vaccinated will not be required to have a negative COVID-19 test when traveling, is also a big boost for the economy.
We've heard the minister talk about it, but we wanted to make sure to get to that point, we've had to do everything else great in order to make things happen. And the vaccinations are now going well in Grand Bahama and throughout the Bahamas. And so people have already started calling. They've already started calling and want to find out. The emails are coming in. We want to find, is this true, or is this a hoax or whatever? We say, no, it's true.
General Manager of the resort, Marco Gobbi, says altogether some 100 employees will return to work. He notes that the resort will be following all of the Ministry of Health's guidelines.
We put plexiglass, we put social distance, we put gel sanitizer everywhere. We do mask for all our employees, so we have a nice mask with a nice logo. And we have to increase also our staff, because we have to clean and sanitize more often than usual, than before.
And the all-inclusive resort has a rate for local guests.
We have a very special rate and promotion for local one, and when we start to spread anywhere, to have a lot of Bahamians, resident, expat that want to enjoy the resort for the night or day pass. For the local one, all-inclusive, one night is $80 per person.
Prior to its closure, the hotel relied heavily on the European market. Gobbi says plans are in motion to secure that market once again.
We are trying to find a new tour operator, a new market in Europe, and to ensure the occupancy of the resort, we are pushing a lot in the U.S. market. I want just thank you to the government and authority. They always stay close to the hotel to listen our problem, try to help us to reopen. After 30 years that we try to help the community, we really feel that now the community try to help us.
Now the resort is opening April 25th with a low occupancy rating, but in the coming summer months, he's hoping that bookings will increase. And now that that day is upon us, they say their focus will be on getting heads in beds. Ramiko Knowles, ZNS Network News.
Great story, Ramiko. Now, as you may recall, the Grand Lucayan property reopened on March 25th. Meantime, the reopening of major resorts viewed as a sign that the tourism industry is rebounding. Taxi drivers say they want to ensure that they are a part of the equation once guests start to arrive on island. Drivers attending a special called meeting this week to address what they call possible roadblocks that they contend may be standing in their way once the industry comes back. Jay Philippe has this story.
Taxi cab drivers and tour operators on Grand Bahama coming together during an emergency meeting to voice their concerns on some apparent unrest developing. According to Harold Curry, president of the Grand Bahama Taxi Union, some troubling news has been circulating in regards to a particular tour operator who has sole responsibility for transporting arriving tourists from the cruise ships to their destinations and back. The news isn't sitting well with taxi drivers.
What we understand that the Royal Caribbean is coming in here June 12th and is coming in here on a bubble. Where these people be traveling in a group and they'll be going on buses. And they said to me, it's alleged that these people, when they come off the ship, they're going straight into these buses and going to the destination, either a tour or going to Tino Beach, going to Garden of the Grove, etc. We feel like it ain't fair, that it's not fair to taxi drivers nor the straw vendors, because they wouldn't be getting none of the pie.
Quentin LaRoda, representing the National Congress of Trade Unions Bahamas, was also at the meeting. LaRoda adds that while the expected arrival of the cruise ships is a beacon of hope in reviving the Grand Bahama economy, he too feels like a fair opportunity should be made available for taxi drivers.
The Ministry of Tourism, the government agencies responsible, must find a way for all the taxi drivers, everybody in transportation, if the straw vendors at little bars and restaurants, all have an opportunity to eat and to survive and to make it. You know, we had a hurricane here and we got a pandemic, and we're emerging out of it. You know, not everybody wants to sit home and just wait on the government to give them a handout. These people are people with integrity. They're used to taking care of their families. The people of hard work, people of intelligence, and they want to get out there and earn.
These taxi cab drivers and tour operators are demanding answers.
I think it's unfair. Because what is the reason for us opening? What is the reason for the taxi drivers to come around? This is our livelihood, what we were waiting for a whole year. You know, we hardly made ends meet. And this is what we depended on from forever. We schooled our children, we pay our mortgages. You know, this is all we know right now.
Look around you. This is a meeting call like half an hour ago. Just half an hour, you know. These poor straw vendors is wrong. The hair braiders is wrong. The straw workers is wrong. These young ladies up here got their kids. And it's sad to see what we have to go through. I really don't care. I could hardly walk where I told someone beaten. But the bottom line is I'm here. And I will stand with my president, Mr. Harold Curry, and his executive team for whatever. All of these businesses that come in, we need that money. Nassau is coming and calling. I'm telling you, this government, don't allow it to happen like in 67. Because we caused it, you know, the taxi drivers, when they took advantage. And the same scenario where the bus was trying to take everything. It ain't gonna happen.
85% of the taxi drivers them today, cars are up to standard, okay? So what I noticed and what I see, most of the taxi drivers and tour operators has followed the protocol, has got into the classes, and should have been sitting down within a meeting concerning the ship coming in. We have to stand together, okay? Stand together. Stand together. Stand together.
I'm Jay Philippe, ZNS Network News.
Well, General Manager with the Ministry of Tourism, Stephen Johnson, is responding to the claims made by the taxi drivers and their supporters. Johnson says any suggestion of unfair treatment is simply untrue. He says cab drivers are included in the tourism equation and confirmed that a meeting was held with the leadership of the taxi union yesterday to hear their concerns.
Just yesterday, Mr. Russell Benford and his team announced that the Royal Caribbean Cruise Line is looking forward to working with the taxi drivers throughout Grand Bahama Island. And they can only work in designated Royal Caribbean Cruise Line activity tours. Only in designated Royal Caribbean Cruise Line tours. We just want to commend Royal Caribbean Cruise Line for their investment in Grand Bahama. They're going to be buying all of their procurement items, food, gasoline, alcohol, beers, everything are going to be bought on Grand Bahama. So we're really, really happy as a matter of fact, there's a meeting on Monday, the 25th, April 25th, with the Chamber of Commerce, all of the persons that are involved in the with the procurement of items here in Grand Bahama. So we're really happy. of their support for Grand Bahama, and in no which way they had excluded the taxi union drivers from the opportunities to transport persons in Grand Bahama. There were some concerns from a health and safety perspective. However, the Royal Caribbean Cruise Line is looking forward to working with taxi drivers here on Grand Bahama Island. Again, we're so pleased of this opportunity, and we look forward to continued support of Royal Caribbean Cruise Line when they come here on June 18th. We're so happy and thrilled that the economic love is going to be spread throughout the community.
Now to news from the island of Abaco. Demolition is underway in the farm community over on that northern island. Heavy equipment moved early this morning, tearing down homes that were constructed illegally. We spoke with businessman Silbert Mills a short time ago. He was on the scene when the demolition unfolded.
Time after demolition crew with heavy equipment and dump trucks came to the site, into the community, and began demolishing homes. Now, works officials tells us that there are 53 unauthorized structures that are on their list to be demolished today. They are unoccupied, and most of these 53 structures went up in the last 2 weeks since the government was here and conducted their initial exercise. And so they had to act quickly and decisively.
Now, he says some of the residents are sad and are concerned about their future, but adds that there is housing shortage on the island for Bahamians as well as illegal migrants.
There's a housing shortage. They want to have something of their own, and so they went the only route they know, and that is to build on land. Since they can't buy land or own land, it has been their practice to find a piece of vacant land, clear it, and build on it. The need to survive.
Now, the Ministry of Works issued a statement this afternoon on the demolition. It reads, in accordance with the communication to the House of Assembly on Wednesday, March 14, 2021 by the Honorable T. Desmond Bannister, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Public Works, and on the authority of the Minister with responsibility for the environment, a total of 45 incomplete and unoccupied structures on the farm Shantytown near Treasury Key, Abaco, were demolished today, Thursday, April 22nd. According to the statement, the debris from these structures are being safely disposed of. Phase 2 of the operation will continue tomorrow. The government of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas remains firm in its resolve to ensure that the health hazards and hazardous conditions that unregulated communities foster are dealt with decisively and effectively. Switching gears now, Area Vice President of the Bahamas Union of Teachers, Quentin LaRota, confirming that a teacher at the Walter Parker Primary School tested positive for COVID-19. However, he says that teacher has been away from the campus for the past 2 weeks and assures that the Grand Bahama COVID Task Force team is aware of the situation at the school. And he says contact tracing has been carried out.
Protocol in place when there's a suspected COVID or positive COVID test, the matter is reported to Dr. Barta's COVID team, and they would advise the school or the Ministry of Education what is to be done to mitigate against COVID, or if anyone have to quarantine or anyone be coming for testing. All of that is decided by the Ministry of Health, and they inform education as to what is the steps to be taken. And so the response to COVID is totally in the hands of the COVID team, outside of following the protocols and the guidelines that all public spaces have to now follow. And so no different here. That school also had those protocols had to be followed there with Dr. Bartlett's team.
Lorota also confirming that 2 other teachers may be symptomatic. He says the Grand Bahama COVID Task Force will advise the Ministry of Education as to the next step.
We've not had a difficulty with the Ministry of Education officials following up the advice from the COVID team. Once Dr. Bartlett says this is what has to take place, that is what takes place. If advice was given and not followed, then definitely the union would take the actions necessary to protect its members. But so far, the working relationship have been a good one, a good understanding of when these things happen, what needs to take place, and the follow-through and the follow-up that has to happen.
Well, vaccination set to begin on the island of Bimini soon. The nation's leader announcing that the vaccination process will begin next week Friday. Island Administrator Deidre Fox says an assessment team is currently on the island.
We are looking at the BUB Hall for next week, Friday the 30th, from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. We have just under 300 persons who are interested and who put down their names and contacts for the vaccine in Bimini. So the response has been really well on the island.
Now, she says some residents are interested in taking the jab.
There are some who are hesitant, there are some who are not interested, but for the most part, like I said, there are just under 300 persons who are interested.
Stay with us, we'll be back right after this.